and Mahomes at bay.
The Tampa Bay Bucs, Super Bowl 55.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Bucs Banter podcast. I am your host, Colin Hallboom, joined by my trustworthy, good-looking co-host, Mr. Scott Capron.
Hey, man. Don't know if either of those two are true, but I'll take it. Thank you.
Yeah, I totally blanked. So that's just what came to mind.
Well, that's a pretty good default. Pretty good. Better than what my wife says. So awesome.
So yeah, we are happy to be here. It's a Victory Monday, and finally we have reached the NFL playoffs. This episode I titled Tampa 2 Seed because, of course, the infamous Tampa 2 defense. But in this case, it applies to the Buccaneers playoff seeding as they received a late gift yesterday in the afternoon slate of games when the San Francisco 49ers came back and beat the Rams to give the Buccaneers what they needed to finish with the 2 seed in the NFC. So obviously that is huge for Bucs fans. Before we go any further, I'm just going to add our buddy Bodan into the chat here. He has just shown up. Here we are. Bo, what's up, my man?
What's going on? Sorry, fellas.
There he is.
You're good. I was just kind of giving us a little outline of the show. So so the Buccaneers, so that was awesome. Matt Stafford threw an interception late and the Niners closed it out. So that was huge for the Bucs. But in terms of yesterday, I just want to talk about that game quickly. Buccaneers won 41-17 versus the Panthers. To cap off what's been a very interesting season for the Buccaneers. We've talked about it all year. So for lots of reasons, and we don't need to, continue talking about the things we have, but all said and done, they come away with the 2 seed, same record as the MVP favorite Aaron Rodgers led Packers now too, which was an advantage he had over Brady in the MVP discussion. But we talked about that last week, so I don't think much has changed there. Anyway, I know you guys probably. I don't know if you guys caught a ton of the Bucs game yesterday. I obviously watched it all, and as did most of our viewers, I'm sure. So. Do you guys have any thoughts in terms of the result, at least yesterday, between the Bucs and the Panthers, or what transpired?
Yeah, I watched it. I got a little bit, I guess, a little bit of a rewatch while I was trying to get through my workday. That's probably why I'm a little bit late getting here because I had more work to do than I originally thought. But yeah, like their defense and their offense, it just seems like they come out flat at the start of games, right? Like I just hope that that's not going to be happening in the playoffs. And yeah, I just saw this comment come through. The catch by Perriman was one of the things that I was going to bring up. That toe drag, just unbelievable body control. That was fun to watch. And I think one thing when I was like kind of perusing Reddit when I was using the free time that I thought I had today, everyone's talking about Devin White still. And it's something we've brought up on this podcast a few times. It's a tough watch, a really tough watch. He's out of control really fast, but he's out of control. He ends up behind the quarterback when he is rushing. If not, he gets blocked fairly easily or pushed off the line fairly easily. And yeah, he runs really hard to a missed tackle and then trots behind a running back or whoever is the ball carrier. It's kind of tough to watch as guys that we were just all on the Devin White train last year. So,
5 tackles in his last 2 games, both those games without Levante David, a time when his defense really needs him to step up. Of course, the Buccaneers were able to overcome that issue, but moving forward, I mean, it's got to change, and it's got to change right now, especially if Levante isn't back for next game. Todd Simpson on Facebook says Devin White is on a milk carton. He missed him. Well said, Todd. We've been looking for him for several weeks now.
It's one of the more shocking. I don't know. I just thought Devin White constant, like that's not going to be an issue. You know what I mean? That was like a set it and forget it at the start of the season, and then it's strange that he just has regressed here. I mean, who knows? Bad year. It's not like he can't come back. It's not like he can't have a great playoff run. We've seen him excel. We've seen him raise his level, but I'm just so surprised by it.
Yeah, his slack is gone. Like, if he comes
Yeah.
to play and he
Yeah.
plays anywhere, if he plays half as well as he did last year's playoff run, I think we will welcome him back with open arms.
I would say.
So
Yeah, Carl. So I had the game on. It was kind of like on the third screen though, because there was some other more intriguing playoff, ramification type matchup. Although to be fair, one of them was Ravens Steelers. Tough watch. Tough watch.
Oh my God.
Not that I was expecting anything else, but oh my goodness. But they gave up, like, the Bucs gave up the first touchdown, and they were kind of whatever, hemming and hawing for a bit offensively. They scored 41. They put 41 up on them. And I know Carolina's awful. They quit. I think, looks like to me like they've quit on the coach, but he's coming back next year. But 41, I mean, they were churning it out. Brady going back in to get Gronk's bonus was pretty awesome. Yeah. And all things considered, a pretty positive, week 18 game heading into the playoffs.
Totally. Like, it's kind of become a theme, right? It almost feels like every week we're talking about the Buccaneers starting slow, and Bo likes to really harp on it, which is fair, which is totally fair, because your expectations are so high for this team, as they should be.
Bo's talking about it as he's talking about, wasting work time on Reddit, talking about slow starts over here. Oh my goodness, man.
It's very true. The irony, like, and then you got to turn it on in the second half, right after lunch.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
over.
Great call out. Great call out, Capron.
Oh,
but yeah, I mean, Brady was fantastic though this game. So the Bucs started slow. The defense couldn't tackle anyone. It was a huge issue in the first half. Winfield and Whitehead looked like the only guys on the team who knew how to tackle.
Isn't that kind of psychotic? Like, if you like, now that I'm like, we can take that micro view. Like, at the start of this year, we were like, okay, this Bucs defense is going to be by far like the best run defense that's could possibly assemble this NFL season. And to be like, yeah, they can't tackle by week 18, it's insane.
Yeah, and like, again, to ring this bell once more, they're missing a lot of guys, a lot of important players, right? So like, that can't be overstated, because if we're going to evaluate them based on like these games' performance coming down the stretch, you have to acknowledge the fact that they're missing tons of their defensive leaders and their best player on that side of the ball, and Levante David.
Don't you think it's wild though, Colin? Like, they're the number one run defense in the NFL, but if certain people just tuned in to a few games, like a choice couple of games, they would be this team. This is the number one run defense in the league. Yeah. It's hard to imagine, but I mean, it happens.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? Because you're totally right. And again, it just comes down to the NFL being batshit crazy and such a week-to-week sport. It's unbelievable. Like, there's times when the New Orleans Saints look like they have the best defense I've seen in a while, especially in terms of the run. And then there's times when they get abused. I mean, except for the Chargers, right? They're always just giving up yards on the ground. They're consistent, at least.
I thought they kind of shorted up. We'll get to the Chargers.
We're not talking about that.
We're not talking.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
They made the title. Of the episode. But sorry. So Brady, he did all he could do to really solidify his candidacy for the MVP award, which seems to be a foregone conclusion, depending what sports book you look at or whoever you hear talking in terms of Aaron Rodgers award. Brady, extended his touchdown lead, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 29 for 37. He was really good. You mentioned that beautiful catch by Brashad Perriman. Him and Tyler Johnson had 5 catches each, which I really like to see. I think that's super important. Scotty Miller got involved, got in the end zone on a handoff, took it to the house. I mean, this is what I've been wanting to see, is something from those guys. Cyril Grayson, unfortunately, left with a hamstring. Same with Jamel Dean. I don't know what it is with hamstrings in Tampa Bay these last couple of seasons, but my God.
Yeah. Fire the trainer.
Fire the cannon.
Get him out of there.
Fire the trainer.
Humidity.
It's it. That's right. Not doing something.
But I thought humidity helped with that stuff. I don't know. I guess
maybe it's like too elastic and then you get hit and I don't know.
Yeah, let's stay in our lane, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not a doctor's pod.
Let's keep guessing about hamstrings. I think that's the move.
One thing that doesn't take much guessing, though, is debating who is the most accomplished tight end in the history of football, at least statistically. Yeah. Rob Gronkowski went 7 for 137, chalking on $1 million worth of incentives. I don't know if
Oh
you
my God.
saw towards the end of the game, Brady didn't want to go out until he got Gronk's incentives. So I hope Antonio Brown was watching that. I'm not talking about Antonio Brown, by the way. I just won't do it.
No, but there's so much to talk about.
It's just if we have,
we're done. I'm with you on that.
There's so much to talk about, like positive things. I just want us to be past Antonio Brown. Like I really don't know what else has to be said aside from, I stand with Bruce Arians.
Hey, I agree, and I'd be siding with that as well. But it's just like, there's just more Antonio Brown clips coming out. He was basically doing like a movie release-esque media tour this week, talking about whatever happened. Sorry, we're not talking about it as I talk about it, but
I'd rather talk about Mike Evans just adding to his record that he broke last year in terms of consecutive seasons with 1,000 yards receiving.
Yeah.
He broke Randy Moss's record last year. He adds on to it another 1,000-yard receiving season. Throw 2 tutties in the mix, 6 receptions, 89 yards. It was easy money at the sports book for your boy because he knows that Bruce Arians and Tom Brady like to get their guys their incentives. So that was going to be on the short list of things to accomplish yesterday versus the Carolina Panthers, and it was.
The incentive stuff in Week 18 is as exciting as anything throughout the season. Honestly, I was really tracking it. Like I think it was Schefter who put out the tweet, or maybe it was an Instagram post with all of the different ones, like the notable ones. I'm watching the first drive of Indy Jacksonville. Marvin Jones needs 4 catches for $500,000. He's got 3 catches. Like I was going nuts. It was unreal.
For sure. And Scott, you know how I texted you? I know you were proud of me when I told you I bet an under. Like I'm maybe the first under I've ever bet.
Yeah, I thought one of your kids might have had your phone.
And it was like my favorite player. It was Jamar Chase under, just because he needed 12 yards to break the record, and his over under was 56 to break the Bengals rookie receiving record or whatever it was. So
and he had to catch up the sideline and then took him out, right?
Then they took him out. So that just felt like easy money. Anyway, you're right. It's a super intriguing subplot.
It's fun.
Only exists. Especially this year, it seemed different with the 17 games because I feel like more people were in the running for certain achievements they otherwise wouldn't have been, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know if they're, the goals or the stats or whatever were prorated in these contracts to try to account for the extra game. But there are some interesting ones out there for sure. The
Justin Jefferson one. Speaking of one that didn't hit, Justin Jefferson, I think it was like 17 yards. He ended up being short of Randy Moss's record. Man. Zimmer was just getting absolutely annihilated by the fans. They were just booing him nonstop because they just didn't get them the ball. They were running the ball when they could have just thrown it to him, and then they took a knee.
What did they expect?
Yeah.
Did they think?
I think Zimmer knew it was over, I guess.
Yeah. Did they think he was going to be cognizant of that or care about that or know your audience, people. Come on, he's the worst. He got fired today as a result.
Yeah, I was gonna say was Ziggy Wilf, the chairman and owner of the Minnesota Vikings, one of those fans booing because
100%.
They got what they wanted. Yeah. I want to hit a couple comments here. Some good comments. We got Russell Schroeder. Damn, man, I hope you tell me how to pronounce your name right.
Schuhart.
That sounds right. Thanks, Scott. Russell Schuhart watching us on YouTube. Bucs banner, let's go. Niners did the damn thing. That catch by Perriman, though. And talking about it's Miller time. And then he goes on to say that the Bucs MO, they've always been a second half team. Thank God Evans is okay. I agree with that because we ran him out here when he was a little banged up these last couple of weeks. So, and no more Brown, F him. So we're all on the same page with our guy Russell on YouTube. Todd Simpson, Craig Hester on Facebook. Can we send our corners on some blitzes? Got to apply more pressure from safeties or corners. Winfield registered a sack yesterday, but again, Winfield's just everywhere all the time. Yeah. The guy's like bulletproof, matchup proof. He doesn't have bad games, it seems. And that's one of those things, like talking about if you're someone who watches the Bucs every week, that's a guy whose consistency, and again, my consistency in saying it is probably annoying, but it really is unbelievable how consistent this guy is. Just an absolute vet. So that's just something I wanted to hit on. Mike Cooper on Facebook said Big Ben's 4-yard outs are still solid. when we discussed the Steelers and that painful watch. So
It's
How
funny 'cause
excited are you to
aren't.
watch that instead of Justin Herbert next Saturday?
Yeah, that's
Oh.
awesome.
Oh
Thanks
my
so
God.
much. Thanks so much. Everything involved in that game.
save
Yeah.
it. We're not there yet. Oh shit,
Oh no.
we lost our boy. Scotty gone. So we're gonna just adjust real quick, switch it up with the red, and keep churning along here. Carrie Koo on Facebook. Hey guys, hey Carrie, happy to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to drop any comments or questions in the chat. We love to address them on air. The chat was lit last week, so hoping to keep that going on here tonight.
Fill some time outside of the rundown. I guess I kind of missed the official one, but what I've got on Twitter, are we going to touch on Vita Vea with that extension?
Bro, don't doubt me, but yes, I think this is a great time to do it. I see Scotty's quickly hop back on here, back on the Bucs bandwagon real quick. It's kind of nice. We could just leave him in the waiting room and talk, and he can't even defend himself. Let's get him in here.
Yeah, that's right. You're going to let me back in. I heard that. Unbelievable. Sorry, closing some tabs. Got a little click happy there. New to this whole computer thing. Anyway, we talking Vita Vea?
Yeah, so Bo brought it up, and yeah, I mean, how do you not? Like, what do you think of that, Bo? Vita Vea signed a 4-year extension to kick in after his rookie deal is up. Big deal.
One of the short list of guys on the defense that we were like, oh, this guy might be able to go to the Pro Bowl. Vita Vea is a game wrecker up front, and it's scary when he's in there for the opposing quarterback. So couldn't be happier for the Bucs fans to have him in for a 4-year extension to be signed. So I'm excited to see what he does during those 4 years, because I think sky's the limit for him if he stays healthy.
Yeah, $73 million over the 4 years. I think it's 42 or 43 guaranteed. And yeah, Vita Vea, man, he's a problem. Everyone knows he's a problem. The numbers don't lie. Dating back to last season, talking about that run defense. I mean, he's a huge reason why it's such a problem. And he's one of those guys who affects the game in so many ways, no matter, he's not necessarily going to register sacks, but he's going to take on two very large, high-paid men from the other team, from their interior offensive line, and open up spots for other guys.
He's so valuable.
Possibly 3. Yeah.
His literal gravity of how big he is and how much attention he demands is so huge for that defense. He's so fun to watch. And when he does eventually kind of scrape through and crawl and get a sack, you know what I mean? After just bull rushing 2 guys, it's awesome.
You're so proud of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that unit's short, not that it needed to be shored up, but that it's solidified. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Mike Cooper on Facebook says he would like to see Scotty Miller get more involved. We started to see that for the first time in a while. Of course, it was, when the game seemed to be out of reach for the Panthers. But it's funny, isn't it? I don't know what Scotty Miller's doing in practice, or why he hasn't gotten more of a look or more chances. Seemed like a guy Brady liked last year. Obviously had some huge catches. I don't even care who gets most involved. I just want it to be someone. I just want it to be someone. Looked like it was going to be.
Because you know what you're getting with Evans, you know what you're getting with Gronk. You need that third.
Yeah.
Someone to just throw them off, keep the defense honest.
As long as Brady knows, then whoever it is, then they probably earned it, right?
Mm-hmm.
They probably earned that trust to emerge as that extra target going into the playoffs. So I like Scotty Miller. I would, hey, great. If it's him, awesome. But whoever actually steps up, whoever, we see him go to in the playoffs is going to be fine. And like I said, probably has earned that trust, right? So.
Yeah, no doubt.
For sure. Russell Schuhart giving some props to you, Scotty, for getting his name right. Maybe I just butchered it. I don't know, but that's respectable. Fabian Espinoza on Facebook said, "What is good, gentlemen? How do we feel about the Eagles game?" I feel great about the Eagles game. I think that's the ideal matchup. I'm really happy the Buccaneers obviously ended up in that 2 spot. Not trying to look ahead, but you want to play at home as much as you can. Yeah. And they'll be able to do that until they got to go to Lambeau again. So if they are able to beat the Eagles, they're no cakewalk. But
let's get into that a little bit. Obviously, Hurts, dual threat, one of the best running. I think he had the most yards of any quarterback running, and I think he had another 10 touchdowns on the ground. something to be worried about for sure, or something to be cognizant of at least. The Eagles, great story, and good for them. From they were awful last year to making the playoffs this year. That's awesome. But like, they didn't beat a team with a winning record. Like they're about as fraudulent as it gets, and really like the true beneficiary of that extra playoff spot coming in. But like, hey, whatever. Props to them. It looks like Tampa's opening up as a 9-point favorite in that game, but they're a class below Tampa. It's not close. It's not close considering the Niners are the 6th seed and the Eagles are the 7th seed. I mean, there's like an ocean between those two teams.
Yeah, and it was looking like the Niners might be very likely could be a team that the Buccaneers were going to play opening round. So I think Bucs fans got to be happy. That's an unbiased.
Oh, yeah.
That's our Scooter, right? That's the Bucs Banter Scooter, not Scooter Miller, and he's giving you an unbiased take when he's referring to the Eagles as fraudulent. There's no bias there, so that makes me feel good. So yeah, I think if the Bucs can't beat the Eagles for a second time this season, then maybe they're fraudulent as well, because they got to take care of business at home versus the Eagles. They escaped with a 28-22 victory at Lincoln Financial Field in Week 7 when these teams met earlier in the year. But yeah, let's not kid ourselves. Scotty's calling it how it is. I agree. I mean, it's a good matchup.
Yeah,
that's a nice. Sorry, Scott. Just a nice running team to go up against and kind of shore up whatever defensive issues going into the playoffs that we've seen over the last few weeks. If you're able to shut down that Eagles defense, that's our Eagles running game. That's nothing to shake a stick at, right? That's actually something.
Yeah, and if you can make Hurts a passer, that's what you want to do, right? That's the objective. He's obviously a huge weapon. He's like a running back who can throw. Like, that's the way he runs as a quarterback, which is kind of unique, just kind of the way he runs. He's very, very powerful runner.
Yeah, no doubt.
But yeah,
it's like the secondary issues for Tampa. Do the Eagles? Does that part of their offense really scare you? Like, Hurts can push it down the field, but I don't think that's what he's looking to do very often. Not a ton of dynamic guys on the outside for the Eagles, right? Like, it's just, I think if Tampa doesn't turn the ball over and don't give Philly short fields, then I think they're going to be rolling in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Devontae Smith is a rookie. And that's certainly their biggest threat. We got Carlton Davis. You could bracket cover him. Like, I'm willing to take my chances with our defensive backs, even against their receivers, and that's obviously a weakness of ours. So
every playoff team has a guy, and Devontae Smith, love him. Like, he's great. But like, let's see him in his first playoff game. You can definitely shade a guy over. With the lack of other weapons on that team, I think he's pretty schemable to get to take Smith out of this game, right? So we'll see. I mean, hey, anything can happen, and you get off to a bad start and somehow it's 10-0 Eagles or whatever, and okay, you're starting to bite the fingernails a little bit, but I don't see it. I love this spot for Tampa. I like how they played last week. Or yesterday, I should say, to get into this game. And, and we've seen these two teams play before also. Like, I know it was feels like, I don't know, 9 months ago, whenever that Thursday night game was when Tampa played at Philly. But Tampa did handle them. I know it was a 6-point game, but they also kneeled it out on the 2-yard line that, that would have made it a 2-score game at the end of the game, right? So, yeah, we'll see.
And I mean, again, this is like, we got to see Devin White bring something. Levante David, just to wrap up some of the injury updates here. Cyril Grayson and Jamel Dean both left with hamstrings, as I mentioned. Jamel Dean's played well when he's been healthy. It's just hard to keep this guy healthy right now. Generally, he comes back after maybe missing a week of practice, maybe one game, but it would be great to have him back. And the same goes for Cyril Grayson, of course, but Jamel Dean's a little more valuable if you got to pick between those two. And then it sounds like, according to BA, that Leonard Fournette, Shaquille Barrett, and Jason Pierre-Paul are all expected back for this matchup versus the Eagles. So
huge,
massive.
Love Le'Veon Bell, got his first touchdown as a Buck, but
no kidding.
Don't really trust him in a playoff game. I'll go out and say that. Not in 2022. Is that what year it is now?
Yeah. Hey, if you need someone to go 12 rounds, Le'Veon's the guy. Right, like that's what you're looking for. But yeah, let's get Fournette back in the game. Let's get him back in that lineup.
Or if sprinting wasn't allowed, then Le'Veon Bell would probably be the best player in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
That would be a wrinkle. Let's bring it up to the rules committee. Sorry,
This
guys.
play,
Can't
no sprinting.
no.
Yeah.
We need to come up with a signal for the ref. Like, no, he reached top speed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
World class speed walker, Le'Veon Bell.
Big time, yeah.
Potential Olympian.
Yeah, Levante David is close, but it doesn't sound too promising. Again, coming from the head coach of the Buccaneers. He's the least likely of those 4 big names to come off the IR. 4 big names outside of Godwin or Giovanni Bernard, who it sounds like maybe back, which would actually be really helpful right about now. But yeah, so again, Devin White has to come to play next week. No more excuses. Not like we've been making them for Devin White. We've been fairly criticizing his play this season, but
they're gonna be picking on him too. If I was drawing up the Eagles' game plan, it's gonna be a lot of Dallas Goedert and a lot of runs up the middle to see what Devin White can do or test him on the edge as well.
I mean, the one thing I'll say is I still don't think teams are looking to run at Devin White. Even though he has been struggling these last few weeks, getting lost behind blocks, I still think a lot of that's because they're scheming away from him and throwing extra blockers at him because they're still fearing him in the run. But you're totally right about Goddard. Yeah. It would be that would be a nightmare matchup for the Buccaneers versus Goddard because Kevin Minter is as bad, if not worse. I mean, unless we have Levante, right? Yeah, could get a little bit problematic. But hopefully the offense can just perform in a way where it doesn't even matter. That's the hope.
Big lead, first quarter, big lead. Punch them in the mouth first.
Yeah, but Bo, that's exactly what hasn't happened. Right?
Yeah, true.
Like, this is not the time to fall behind 10-0 and look completely lethargic in the first quarter. Right? Yeah. Like, these games go quick and there's only so many possessions in an NFL game, right? Like, it's not college. Like, it can get on top of you pretty quickly. So this would be a time for them to finally find a first quarter or, get the ball, take the ball after you win the coin flip and then just go down and score, right? Like this would be the time to finally do it. It would be awesome for them. So
yeah, I'm hoping they've been saving this statement win for this weekend.
Yeah.
Exactly like you're saying. So there you have it. I mean, Bucs are in the 2 seed. They've done what we've needed them to do. Not always in the fashion expected, but they've also had a lot to deal with from the injury front and just various forms of adversity. And that tends to be when Tom Brady gets his scariest for opponents anyway. So I'm really excited to just watch TB12 go to work this postseason, man.
How do you like the time slot, the early Sunday?
Love it. Tom loves it. I love it.
Okay. Beauty. I was wanted to see if any of the people in the comments were going to mention. I love it too. I love it. Get it going. Get out there, get the win, and enjoy the other 2 games. I love it. Hey, also, how great is the Monday night playoff game edition?
Oh, I know.
It's awesome.
I love it.
This weekend is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I am so excited. There's so much football.
So much good football too.
Yeah, let me run through the playoff schedule because I got it all here. So Saturday at 4:30 p.m. you got the Raiders at the Bengals. So that's a 5 versus 4 seed. You guys want me to break it down AFC, NFC, or in order of the games?
Order of the games.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Raiders, Bengals, Saturday, NBC. Bengals are a 6.5 point favorite. Saturday, 8:15 p.m. You got the 6 versus 3 game in the AFC with the Patriots traveling to Orchard Park to take on the Bills for their third matchup of the year. Bills are minus 4.5.
How bombed is that crowd going to be for a Saturday night home playoff game against the Patriots? That kicks at 8:00. Like it's going to be unreal. It's going to be like a seat.
It's going to be a problem. Yeah.
50-50 chance Mac Jones gets thrown through a table before he even makes it to the locker room.
Honestly, he should just get it over with early. Then maybe they won't do it to him later. Like at halftime, like he'll just get grabbed going through or something like that. But yeah, that's gonna be probably as good as an atmosphere as you'll see, right? Like how awesome is that?
Does the air just get sucked out of there if the Patriots roll? I can't even imagine what that would be like at the end of that game.
It's just not happening, Bo.
All right, fair. Yeah, whatever you guys think.
does the air get sucked out of there? I'd be more worried about like McDermott being sucked out of there by a mob of people, right?
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
not taken to his home.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
no
Well,
doubt.
Here,
I can't imagine that.
why don't we pick our
Okay.
winners of each of these games as we go through the time slots
Okay.
then, so we're
Okay.
not jumping all over the place. So
Sorry. Brad.
no, it's all right. So Raiders at Bengals. Again, that's the first game of the weekend, 4:30 p.m. on Saturday. Bengals are -6.5. I'm going chalk there. I'm super excited to see Burrow and company in that receiving corps and offense playing the postseason. But there's some real fight to these Raiders.
I know.
And I guess like what they did last night was wild.
Yeah. Are we gonna talk about that game after this? Because
I think we should talk
if
about
not,
it now.
Okay.
I'll
yeah,
give
let's
Derrick
get into
Rose. Derrick Rose. He played like prime Derrick Rose. Derek Carr
it.
is a special quarterback, honestly. Like as much praise we give to Brady and to Rodgers and to all Burrow, Herbert, Carr was going like throw for throw with Herbert down the end of that. And I know a lot of people get on him for like the pass interference calls, and he just kind of draws them out, and he throws up these balls that he knows nobody's going to get. But it's a skill, and he is really extremely good for a quarterback that I think that fan base was like not believing in 2 or 3 years ago. He's shown it the last 2 years that he's like every bit of like what we thought Baker Mayfield might turn into. I feel like Derek Carr is like surpassing that, if not meeting that, if not surpassing that.
Oh my God. How happy would the Browns be with
Oh my God.
a Derek Carr replica? You know what I like? Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
that's
Bo.
the arc
Yeah.
that they were hoping for Baker Mayfield is what I'm basically
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it's a great comparison. I love this Raiders team, man. They're scrappy. They can score when they have to. They're fun to watch. Like I would kind of
Their
split the baby
D-line.
here. Yeah, man. I
The
would kind
D-line's
of
so good.
split the baby and take a Cincy win with a Raiders cover just because the Raiders are playing in close games. It seems like all the time. They're going to be used to it at this point. Their last 3 wins or the last 4 wins, basically they beat the Browns, the Broncos, the Colts, and the Chargers all in 1-score games near the end. Basically all must-win games for them. Yeah, maybe it's a bit of a cop. I think the number is a little bit too high at 6.5. But yeah, I'm looking like a 27-24 type game, something like that.
Yeah, I could see it being. I'm with you, Scott. I think the Bengals probably pull it out. I'm like excited to see what Burrow can do, see what Jamar Chase can do in his first playoff game as well too.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I
think
two.
Go ahead.
No, sorry, I was just gonna say like 2 new AFC playoff teams, right?
Yeah.
Like it's fun, new quarterback. Like this is that Saturday afternoon game is kind of the least I don't know, prime time, least marketable game usually of the whole wild card weekend. I can't wait for that game. To start off the weekend, it's gonna be awesome.
I feel like they did something different here because I'm like excited for this game, and usually that first Saturday game is the one where you're like, oh, I don't actually have to watch all of this, but this one's really good.
Yeah, well, remember now I'm saying it because it's Cincinnati, but like 6 years ago, we got Andy Dalton at Matt Schaub, I think 2 years in a row in the exact same spot. Cincy at Houston. It was like, okay, we're good. I can wait till the next game. But yeah, man, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, sign me up for any playoff matchup where I don't have to watch Big Ben. Like that's the only one that I'm not right. Like
that's unreal. No kidding.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I think what you're saying makes perfect sense, both you guys, in terms of like I bet you all the sharp money will be on the Raiders because it is a pretty big line for an unproven team, and the Bengals have certainly shown they aren't consistent. They can easily be upset and lose games they shouldn't, because they're a little bit.
They're
what do you call it? Bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah, they're volatile. Yeah.
When they're good, they're so good, but
they can just break it open. But yeah, there's a little bit of that. They can just have a bunch of 3-and-outs in a row too.
And like, okay, because we're talking about the Raiders though, like let's just do it now before we move on to the rest of these matchups. I just want to talk about that game last night.
Oh my God, let's go!
Unbelievable. The game that should have been a tie. Sunday Night Football, the last regular season game. Oh my God, the NFL's crazy, man. And it's all because of the Colts, who were playing for their lives, right? Right when we're starting to consider an apology, at least me, or apology options as it might relate to Carson Wentz, and
Oh
how
my
like
God.
we just berated him with negative commentary coming into this season, and he was starting to make us like question ourselves a little bit. Then he goes ahead and totally redeems himself in the opposite way by putting up an absolute dud in the biggest game of the year versus the worst team in the NFL when the Colts desperately needed a win to make the playoffs. They lose to the Jags. So anyway, not because of that.
Carson Wentz, but also like Frank Reich, what are you doing? Like,
oh, it was bad.
how are you not running the ball a little bit more with Jonathan Taylor? You're playing the Jags. Like, I don't care if they got out to a lead. Just pound it down there. Oh, God, I just can't believe it.
But it was just you could. It was in the stars, man. Like I watched that whole game, and it just wasn't happening. Like at no point did I feel like Indy's about to turn the corner, or they went into halftime. I think only down 10, and then they turned the ball over again at the third to start the second half, but then only gave up a field goal, so they're still only down like 16-3. But I never thought they were. It just so sloppy. They looked tight. Like they looked like they were the ones who were playing who had something to lose, and they most certainly did. It was shocking. So, I feel like this kind of got swept under the rug. Like Jacksonville lost 50-10 the week prior. Like 50-10. Like they have the
number
awful.
one. They have the number one pick still.
Yeah, they're so bad. And then the Colts 2 weeks ago, before the Raiders lost, after Christmas when they beat the Cardinals, kind of the AFC darlings, right? And now they're not even in. And obviously that whole thing leads to Ben's corpse being in the playoffs. The Raiders-Chargers tie, almost coming to fruition in the craziest game of the year, maybe. It was so wild, so wild.
Have we said the Chargers were in the craziest game of the year like 3 times this year already?
Probably.
They are every week.
Well, that Chiefs one, the Thursday nighter, yeah.
Yeah, for sure that one. And then I think they had another one as well, like at the start of the year, that were just like, what? How did this happen?
Part of it's self-inflicted because of these decisions Brandon Staley makes that are so contentious. And like I do love how he pushes the envelope, but it's almost gotten to the point where he's like a renegade with an analytical cause.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, he's just like hacking darts on the sideline, like telling people to back up or something like that. Yeah,
it's not like that would be the coolest. That would be really cool if it was like that. But it's honestly, he sits there he's not watching the game. He just has a calculator in front of him. He's like, no, it says that we should go for it now, and we're gonna do that because that's what the simulation says that we should do, and he just does it every time, and it's just like, okay, this is the actual game that decides if you get to play again or not. And you're both playing to win. And I get it. Like down the line, like obviously all of the forks that he went for were great, but like on your own 18 where it's like a yard, but it's not really a yard. It's basically 2 yards, a yard and a half. And you're running it. You're going to hand off up the middle when they're expecting a quarterback sneak. That is an insane place to put your quarterback in with no checks, maybe Herbert had a check out of that and he just didn't use it. I don't know why he wouldn't. I don't know how anyone looking at that defensive front would have been like, yeah, we can run it up the gut on that.
Yes, we will get this.
The only defense, it's because they practice against their own defense, right? They practice against
true.
Chargers defense.
Good point.
They're just so used to being able to get chunk yards up the middle. They'd run it up the gut with Eckler the play before on third too, and unsuccessfully, and they just ran the exact same play.
And like it's not like Eckler's Ezekiel Elliott or like the short yardage specialist. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Like we obviously, process versus result. You can kill the play call. I agree, Bo. Dan, that was obviously a terrible play call, but like I kind of like that they have an identity and they're sticking to it. They're sticking to their guns and blah blah blah. But like, dude, I don't know. Obviously, that they got to overtime, so it theoretically didn't cost them the game.
It didn't. You're right.
But yeah. I don't think you can go for that there. I think it's probably a bit overblown. They only did give up a field goal, but still, I don't know. It just a wild decision. Just unnecessary too at that point. It just truly wild. But what did you guys think? Do you like? It's so crazy that the tie was going to happen.
But when it's the crazy part is that it was gonna happen when they were both trying to win after all the discussion.
Exactly. It was like naturally gonna happen. And then it's like if you want to kill Staley, the timeout he took in overtime is way more egregious in hindsight. Like
I just want to say, like, it's interesting, right? Because on Twitter, a lot of people were immediately like, "Oh, that doesn't change their decision." Blah blah blah. Like, if you're watching that game, the vibe, I know this seems stupid. I'm talking about like intangible things. If you're watching how the offense was like ready to start celebrating because they were good to tie, they were just gonna run. They were just gonna run it the same way with that personnel. It was so everyone could feel it. And props to Collinsworth because he called it out. Like, and I was like, "You are so right, man." I was thinking the exact same thing. Chris Collinsworth nailed it. Tons of people
snap or something. Yeah.
And people are so the people who are critical of that, and it's just many of the similar type of people on Twitter, NFL media Twitter. It's like, oh, how does that affect their decision? How does that affect their decision? Because that immediately is a red flag to the Raiders. Like, oh shit, like what are they trying to do? Calling a timeout to preserve the clock. Well, fuck them. Yeah. Let's go then.
Well, wait. To be fair to Staley, they were both playing to win up until that point. And I felt the exact same way you felt, but like I could see Staley just staring at his calculator being like, okay, they're playing to win, so we should call a timeout here.
But what does a timeout even do? It's not like you're going to get the ball back.
He said he wanted to change personnel for like
to get the best 11 group. Out there.
But it doesn't matter. I would just, it was so obvious. It was so palpable that what was happening. It was just transforming into that before our eyes. Yeah. You just let it go. Just let it go.
That is the debate. That timeout in itself. I know people are like, the analytical crowd is like, okay, don't make a big deal about this timeout. But like, that is football. This is literally the vibe of the game. You can feel it. A good coach can feel that. An old school football coach can feel that vibe changing from we're playing to win to, okay, let's both just tie here.
Yeah.
Calling that timeout changed it. It felt like it did.
But you're probably right. But it's not like many coaches have experience from going, okay, now we're going for the tie, right?
True. But like, it's like, it is a feeling. It's like if he was the same as that head coach on the other side, they would have both, it was like almost like a nonverbal agreement. Like sometimes you just look up at the bartender and they know, oh, that guy needs a drink right now. You know what I mean?
Or he needs his tab.
Exactly. Or he needs I need my tab. Look, I've already called the Uber. She's ready to go. Like, I need you to get me the tab so I can get out of here.
Yeah.
He's butched.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he didn't feel it. Like, he didn't feel it. And it's not wrong. Like, I understand where he's coming from. He's like, okay, I'm playing to win. They're playing to win. Everything before this, all the information I have was that they're going to play to win. But there was something there in that play before that where they're running the ball and they're letting it tick down. It's just like, oh.
But at that point,
it was a missed opportunity.
At that point, they basically could not win.
Yeah.
It was with 38 seconds left and third down for the Raiders, right?
And the Raiders weren't rushing. They were taking their sweet-ass time.
Yeah. And hilarious that they, called the timeout to change personnel, and then Jacob just gashes them, which cements the decision. Like, it's – but just – okay, and I don't even really care. Like, I think reasonable people can disagree on a lot of the stuff that happened in that game. The fact that it came down to this – and it was Sunday night, and it was midnight because it took forever. And it was like, this tie is going to happen because I feel like it came out either during last week's games in the afternoon. No, probably Monday. I think on Twitter, someone was like, all right, so if the Colts somehow got upset and the Raiders and Chargers tie, like, they don't have to snap the ball or they don't have to do anything all game. And then organically it came to it, and the coaches had to decide on the fly. Like, we'll never see it again. That's as crazy as it gets.
I was kicking myself big time for not actually betting the tie. Like, I know so many people who bet the tie. And I was like, it's not actually going to happen. Like, blah, blah. And then sure enough, I was like, what was I doing? And you know what? It should have ended up a tie. It almost ended up a tie after a vicious battle of attrition and ups and downs and all these sorts of swings. And sorry, I just want to say, Scott, what you said earlier is totally right about Staley. Like, at least he has conviction and a direction with his strategy, and I do respect it still. Like in general, if I'm viewing Brandon Staley as a performance this year, it's kind of badass that he's so stubborn with his thing. He's like, screw all of you. I don't really care. You football traditionalists, you can shove it. Like, I like that.
Wait, for the guy that's doing all these optimized decision making, isn't it kind of funny that this entire season he's just gotten killed for it? Like literally all the decisions that he's made because of it, he's gotten wrong, basically. That's a wrong outcome.
That's the most predictable thing ever, though, based on how people view analytics and thinking outside the box, right?
And who's killing him, Bo?
No, but that's fair. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, even though, like, analytics is supposed to be like over the course of time, you're going to eventually get a few of these right. And it just didn't happen for the entire season. Like, it doesn't even make sense that would happen.
Yeah, but it's the process over results. If you go to the river in 10 straight poker hands as a 70% favorite, then if you happen to lose all 10 of those, then you can kind of sleep at night. That's where these people are coming from, right? So eventually, if that's what the data says, this increases your win percentage, and he's going to stick with it, no matter obviously how daring it is or how high leverage a situation it is. So like I generally agree. I love it, and I think Chargers fans like they have an identity and that they give the ball to their best players and all of that. I think there has to be some sort of throttling down given the situation, given time and score, and just kind of going from there, right? But like I mean, I obviously we're referring to that fourth down call, but still, the fascinating to me is how overtime played out, and just what I don't mean like what was Staley thinking. I just mean like literally, I'd love to know like what was he thinking at that point, because they couldn't win, and I love when
what
stuff
are you saving that
like
time
this
for?
happens. Like I love when, oh my God, we've never seen this before, and. Yeah.
Yesterday, I felt a special connection with the sport as that game kind of capped off the day. Like it really got to that point where I was just like, this is so effed up, and I love it. Like, it's just so messed up. All the scenarios, like you talked about, like, it's like people knew the Jags could win because Frank Reich can't win in Jacksonville no matter how bad they are. Sure enough, the Jags, the horrible joke of Jacksonville Jaguars blow out the darling of the AFC, the team no one wants to play in the playoffs, the Colts. Look out for the Colts, best runner in the league.
Yeah, nobody has to play him.
To then to the whole tie scenario playing out, and then it actually almost coming down to a tie, to literally the end, and then it was just riveting
and
stuff.
Even Pittsburgh had to scratch out the win in overtime, right? For them to have a shot going into that Sunday nighter, and unreal. Just really unbelievable. I loved it. I couldn't get enough. I was glued to the TV.
Yeah. And we could go on and on about that game. I mean, I'm heartbroken because, like I told you guys in our text thread, like I can't bet on Austin Eckler props anymore. But more importantly, don't get to watch any more Justin Herbert. That offense is so fun to watch. Like, anyway, I was hoping between him and Burrow, man, like I love watching the Chargers and the Bengals, but we have to move along here, fellas.
Okay, we got to get to a couple of these games.
I got to put my foot down.
Podcast, I forgot.
Yeah, I got people texting me when you talking the Bills. Vic Razzo's tuned in. He wants us to talk about his Bills a little bit, and we were working our way there. So, and this is a good one for us to talk about. Okay, so we already talked Raiders and Bengals. I got the Bengals winning. Sounds like you both do as well, but you think it'll be a close game, and the Raiders certainly have a chance. And they deserve to be commended for the fight they have as a team after all they've dealt with. Really impressive. Patriots are plus 4.5 at Orchard Park, as we mentioned. I mean, I like the Bills in the AFC potentially to do it this year. I think they might make it. I think everyone's sleeping on the Bills, and I know we're not trying to get ahead of ourselves, but in this matchup, I really like the Bills. I think they want to beat the Pats so bad, and I think they're a lot better than the Pats. And I know you disagree, Bo, and I know we've been on opposite ends of this since that Patriots win in Buffalo. But I think the Bills, even though they technically gained some revenge in their last matchup just a few weeks ago, I think they're a much better football team all around. I think the Pats are overhyped a little bit, and I think the Bills are going to put them in their place.
the Bills are definitely the healthier team going into this. A lot of questionables on the Pats and guys on IR that you would love to see play. They're not going to have their full roster if they play. It's tough for me because I just think the Pats have the formula to get it going. Come on, Bo, Bill's got that. Okay, like I just can't pick them. I just don't trust them this year. I have to pick the Pats. I'll take the points. I'd even take the money line, honestly.
Scott, where do you stand? I know I'm really curious to hear what you say because you have been more apprehensive you weren't ready to crown the Bills when I was as like the team I was most scared of in the AFC. You've been far more guarded in your approach. So in other words, far more correct than me.
I don't know. I just think once every 2 or 3 games we see the Bills playing just an insane game, or Josh Allen is turning the ball over. He had a terrible game against the Falcons 2 weeks ago. I actually didn't see much of the Jets game, so I can't really speak about that one too much. I don't know. Do I like the Bills' ceiling? Yeah, I do. Do I trust them to win 3 games to get to the Super Bowl? No, not at all. And I could see them losing here. And I don't really want to take too much away from that first game, that Monday night game, New England at Buffalo, because it was basically not a real game. You know what I mean? No. It's almost throw it away. The one from December 26th when Buffalo beat New England, or no, the second one, the rematch. If this could be the third game in 5 or 6 weeks, right? So I do think the Buffalo win at New England was more telling than the New England win at Buffalo. I don't know. I don't trust Buffalo at all. So, I would definitely lean taking the 4.5 with the Patriots, trusting Belichick, and I got to give a winner. I guess I'll take Buffalo. I'll do the same thing to take the underdog to cover, but to lose the game outright. Something like 21-17. That's where I could see this game landing.
Yeah, I don't know where I stand on the spread. If I had to lean away, I guess I'd take the Bills. I could certainly see it being a close game, but I definitely like the Bills to win personally.
It's a tough place to play. Tough place to play for sure.
For sure, absolutely. And those fans are gonna. We already talked about it. They're gonna be so raucous because they're pissed about last time, right? What they had to go through and then walk out of there in the middle of a blizzard.
Let's see McDermott not coach scared in a big playoff game. I think that's a huge factor. I really do.
That's why I'm like, if it comes down to a 1-possession game, give me Belichick.
Yeah, I agree. I trust them more. I do. Obviously, I think Josh Allen is better than Mac Jones, and I don't think McDermott. Of course, I don't think McDermott is a bad coach, but if he kicks a scared field goal early in the game, those are the things that can bite you, right?
Yeah, you have to blow out the Patriots to win. You got to blow them out.
Yeah, and I hate to be just you don't want to kick dirt on New England, but you don't. You absolutely do not. I don't know. It's a fascinating game because Bills are more talented. They could go beat them 34-14, something like that. But I could also see New England squeaking out some weird win where Josh Allen has to throw it 50 times and he has 3 picks because they're down or something like that, right? So, anyway, another great one.
I like what you said, though, Scott. You're right. So the Bills haven't proven it to you yet. Sure, they got the ceiling and all these fancy bells and whistles, but they're yet to prove it to you, so you'd like to see it. And the same goes for McDermott, though, right? I just have flashbacks to that Kansas City game last year, kicking field goals within the 10-yard line on the road.
Gross.
That was awful, man. That was
the anti-Brandon Staley. Yeah, if I have to pick between the two, I want Brandon Staley all day.
Yeah, and he had a couple just talking to my Bills buddies. He had a couple, what are you doing moments in the Jets game, not stepping on the throat too. So I don't know. I just don't wait. They're good as really good. They're good as excellent. But we could see them. They lost to Jacksonville. What was it? 9-6 earlier in the year. They just have such a wide range, which I know a lot of these teams do. So, and then you play against the, exceptionally coached, super meticulous Patriots. That's a fascinating matchup. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'll just end it on this text from my Bills friend. He says it's Victor Razzo. He says all 11 wins for the Bills are by 12 or more points. He said take the Bills with the points or the Pats straight up. So
Yeah.
he thinks if the Bills win, it's a blowout. If you think they're going to win, take them. But otherwise, so
Yeah,
anyway.
I can see that. I can see that.
So where are we here? We were on Saturday. So then, of course, we're at the Eagles Bucs. We already talked about that one. Bucs are favored by 8.5 at home. I like the Bucs to win, of course. I'm never gonna touch a Buccaneers spread. Like, God, that team. If I got to go one way, I don't know. 8.5 is a lot of points, man. Like, personally,
Yeah, I can
especially
see it.
potentially without Levante.
I could see a back door here where it's never really in doubt, but the final's like 31-24 kind of thing. You
like
know,
the first, just like the first time they played.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'll go with.
Cool.
Yeah, I might take the Eagles in the first half or something like that, and the Bucks to just blow them out after that.
Yeah, you be making money, boy. Hey, if you've been
I
playing
like
that
it.
these
I
last few
know,
weeks.
seriously. I feel like
I like it.
that's the information we have. So maybe I'm just gonna like blindly bet that.
And of course, that's the 7-2 seed in the NFC. Next game is the 4:30 p.m. game on Sunday, which is also in the NFC, and that's the 6th seeded San Francisco 49ers traveling to Dallas to take on the 3-seeded Cowboys. Cowboys are -3. Let me just say here, Niners looks tasty to me. They look like a hungrier team. They look like, in my opinion, I was potentially siding with the Niners this past week. They pulled it off, but they almost got blown out. They're a tough team to trust in some ways, but they just feel like a hungrier, more physical group. And I certainly trust their head coach more than I do Mike McCarthy. Dallas is, as you said earlier, Scott, to the term volatile. I mean, their offense can look dynamic, but they've got lots of holes too, it seems.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Pretty interesting that this game landed on 3. So,
Yeah.
they're basically calling it 2 even teams on a neutral field. So I'm going to zag a bit. I'm actually going to take Dallas -3. I think they're like San Francisco. You can throw on them, which Dallas will gladly do. They've been better at home. I don't have a big opinion, like a huge opinion. I like what San Fran's done, obviously coming down the stretch. I'm just leaning Dallas -3 here.
Yeah, I love Dallas in this actually. As much as I want to get behind Deebo Samuel and ride that train that I started in preseason, I think
He's so good.
He's so good, so good. But the Cowboys, like their aerial attack is just so prolific when it gets going, and that's what we saw against the Eagles this week too. I can see them doing the exact same thing against this 49ers secondary, which is not good.
Okay. So I guess, Scott, looks like you're not the zig to the zag. I guess I am, buddy.
There we go. All right, good to
know. So then Sunday night, we've got the pathetic semblance of grown adult strong men in shoulder pads known as the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. 7-2 game, 8:15 p.m. on NBC. Chiefs are 12.5-point favorites. Chiefs are, I think, obviously going to win this football game, even though they got lots of issues themselves still. But they're the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you think about that line, Scott and Bo? What do you guys think of the number?
I think
it's too low.
Oh, really?
There you go.
Holy.
Well, we just saw these teams play. It was 36-10. How many points can Pittsburgh score? What's the
Who
max?
knows? Yeah, you're right. You're right, honestly.
Yeah, I get it. The initial thing is that it's too low, but then if you watch them, Ben can't throw the ball. They can't move it. They're gonna have to score on 17 play drives. Like that's when Kansas City's defense is actually good. But you can just be opportunistic and try to make turnovers and stuff, right? So I don't see. It's gonna roll like 34-10. I think it's gonna play out very similarly to that game from 2 or 3 weeks ago.
It is tough to do that twice against an NFL team, but I don't know. I guess, do you think the Steelers are an NFL team?
I don't think they're a playoff team.
At least, right?
They're not an
NFL they
offense.
weren't. They if you watch the game last night between the Raiders and the Chargers, it's pretty obvious the Steelers are not supposed to be a playoff team. Both of those teams are better than them. But saying all that, I just think this defense from the Steelers is a little bit different when TJ Watt's out there. And I can't remember if he played in the game when they played the Chiefs or not, but I just think that defense it's much better than what the stats say is the way I put it.
You've been riding for the steel curtain all year, Bo. Fair enough.
Yeah. I'm not worried about I don't think the defense is awful, but you still have to stop Mahomes while also putting up points. So, okay, maybe they cover. Maybe it's 24-14. There's just, unless the Chiefs turn it over 4 times or something, I don't think there's no way Pittsburgh wins the game. So I'm actually comfortable. I don't love laying big numbers like this, but I would be okay with the Chiefs at anything less than 2 touchdowns. I thought it was going to open at 14. So to see it at 12.5, I actually thought was pretty good value.
I'd probably side that way. Scott, you've made a compelling argument here. And I feel like if the Chiefs aren't going to cover, it's not as much necessarily of course, if you create turnovers, the Steelers could do it to them, but it seems to be like what the Chiefs do to themselves on offense sometimes, when they don't put up prolific numbers, right? Like, just feels that way. I don't know.
It's like they get bored.
Yeah, totally. Okay, and then the last game, the Monday Nighter, we talked about it a little bit. You got the Arizona Cardinals. After their super hot start to this NFL season, look like the team to beat. They're the 5 seed playing the dangerous Rams at home. Not how much of a home field advantage they have at SoFi Field, but they're the 4 seed. That's the Monday Nighter. Rams -4. I don't know where to go on the line. I think I like the Rams to win, but crazy shit happens when teams in this division play. Same way when Kyler Murray's in the game. But it sounds like DeAndre Hopkins is going to be out still. So, I got to go with the Rams to win. But I really am on the fence on this number. I'm curious how it might move. I don't know what you project, Mr. Capron, our betting guru.
No, I think the 4 is a great number. I don't know. I think I'll – the Rams are playing better. Obviously, they lost that game to the Niners. The Cardinals have not been good. They haven't been looked right for a month now. Basically completely aligned with the Hopkins injury. I just think they're dipping at the exact wrong time. I like the Rams in this game. Maybe something like 31-24, 34-27. I'd like them to win the game and cover. Don't love the number. Don't love the -4, but I do love the Rams to win the game.
I'm with you. I've got the Rams winning and covering. McVay absolutely, he's good friends with Kingsbury. He's good friends with Shanahan as well too. 2 guys in his division. And he really wanted to beat Shanahan this week, I guess. I don't know, yesterday, I'll say. And wasn't able to get it done. I could see him just taking it out on Kingsbury this weekend. So I've got the Rams.
That just made me picture that all 4 NFC West coaches are in a text thread, but Pete Carroll, everyone's grandpa, signs off on each text with Pete or hi, it's Pete.
With his name.
You know what I mean? Hey, Pete, we know it's you. We have your number. It's cool. You don't have to let us know each time that it's you. Okay, great game, Pete. Yeah, that's probably what's happening.
Our guy Russell Schuhart dropping some gems here, watching us on YouTube tonight. He sided with me in terms of he's picking the Niners, and then he says Cowboys logo is their rating, 1 star. Don't recommend. Before he goes on to pick the Chiefs and the Cards. Thanks for sticking with us tonight, Russell. Appreciate your input, my guy. So that's where we stand on all those games, right? We've all picked those. Couple things. We're going to wrap up here just in the next couple minutes. I just want to mention, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't, the current coach GM reshuffling in the NFL. I think there's 5 head coaching vacancies and as well as a few GM positions. Yeah, it might be 6. You got the Vegas will be looking for a head coach if they don't bring back our fella here. I don't know his name.
I can't remember his name either. I think it's Rich.
Pistachio.
Can't remember off the top of my head.
Thank you. Yeah. Pistachio.
No.
Okay.
The Jags, of course, who've already interviewed Buccaneer offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich, as well as Cowboys offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. You got the Broncos looking to place Vic Fangio. Minnesota cut bait with Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman, their GM as well. Chicago did the same with Nagy and GM Ryan Pace. And then in a bit of a shocker, the Dolphins let go of Brian Flores today after he won 7 of their last 8 games. 4-2 record versus Belichick since he's been the coach of the Dolphins, including a season sweep of the Pats this year. So that was interesting. I know we're getting
bit of a
closer.
power struggle there, apparently.
Scott's clearly got the over-under on the anthem here as he is dialed in to this.
Sorry,
anthem.
I'm just getting the national championship game on here. It says it's Sam Hunt is singing. He big fan. I definitely know who that is. So sorry.
It's okay. And then
Big night here, the national title game.
On Flores, I think we were on this one early. I'm pretty sure during our AFC East preview, we said that it was a fireable offense to have 2 offensive coordinators. And it turned out that not being able to make a decision there probably is why he's not a head coach anymore.
Unless that was Chris Greer, the GM's doing, and then he went and fired the head coach because he didn't like the 2 coordinators. What if that is
maybe?
Either
I don't
way,
know. I
weird.
think Flores was out there like capping for both of them. So
yeah, it's weird. And I was surprised by it as well. But people are always, they want to talk about how they finished 8-1. That's true. They started 1-7. That is part of the record. I don't think he should have been fired, but it's not like the Dolphins were some juggernaut, No. Now, but I'm just saying that to be a little bit devil's advocate. He shouldn't have been fired. They seem to really like him. The players did. There are way worse coaches out there. You know what I mean? Like he wouldn't even make the radar being like, what's this guy doing? So yeah, big move.
Dude,
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. Like 6 teams got rid of their head coach and not Seattle. Like Pete Carroll still has a job.
Isn't he the owner? Isn't he the owner by now too? Like maybe that's why.
Yeah, he might.
I saw one tweet today that was, Brian Flores is going to be a head coaching candidate in this cycle, and then it was quote tweeted with he'd be a good fit in Miami. It's like, yeah, that makes sense.
I saw that too.
That'd be a solid hire for him.
That was great. And then in terms of the Giants, Gettleman is retiring, so their GM is out on his own terms apparently, but they're keeping Joe Judge. Great way to draw a new GM, eh? You're going to coach or you're going to use our coach, and it happens to be Joe Judge.
If I'm a GM, I'm not taking that job unless I'm allowed to get rid of him.
You got to give a GM the chance to hire their new coach. Come on now. I mean,
and
Joe Judge might be the GM. Will that shock anyone?
GM, Judge, and Executioner.
Yes, that would shock me, Bodan. That's good.
Well, the Giants have bungled this for so long. Like, I would not be shocked if Joe Judge ended up being like, "Oh, I'm going to just be the president of football."
But it comes out that they're like essentially self-conscious about the revolving door of head coaches. It's like, man, that is not a reason to keep this guy around. And then what? No. So you just have him as a complete lame duck for a year under the new GM because then it's like, I don't know, not a faux pas because you gave him a year, then you can fire him. Just do it. Like if you can do it now, do it. He's awful. And I hate to say it, but I definitely said this in our preview. Like they're talking about fights at the Giants in camp. He's all this coach speak just coming out that he's a dick came out pretty early on. It's like you will not last. And you better be very good, your team, if you're going to be like that. Because guess what? If you're 12-5 and a dick, then that's fine. If you're 4-13 and as bad as any of the bottom of the league, they were as bad as anyone towards the end of the year. You can't be like that. And then, see ya. He's not fit for the job. He's awful.
Yeah. And I mean, it seems like they'll probably need a new quarterback as well. Lots of issues there. They wasted that second overall pick on Saquon and never even had no line in place to help him. Then he got hurt. Just an absolute disaster in a lot of ways. Anyway,
just one quick thing. It's just so fascinating because obviously if you're a football coach, like positionally coordinator or otherwise, generally the top of the mountain is to be a head coach, right? But it's such a different skill set. It's almost like it's like a completely different profession that shouldn't be lumped in together, right? So I'm sure Joe Judge is a knowledgeable football person and all that. That does not mean you should be a leader of people. That's just not how that goes, right? So like a head of sales shouldn't necessarily jump to the CEO position or whatever analogy you want to make. And these guys aren't fit for it, and that's okay. But don't hire him. So yeah,
Totally. Well, I mean, we see Nick Saban running onto the field, so we got to at least touch on this college football national championship going on. Last I saw, the line was it had moved somewhat recently. It was initially 2.5, but I saw it at -3 for Georgia. Scott, I don't know if you have any updates on that. I'm super pumped. Again, we've had a crazy football weekend. I can't wait to watch this. Say what you will. This is the two best teams in college football. No disrespect, Scott, but I think you would agree.
Not even close. Of course.
I'm really excited to watch a couple guys. I'm excited to watch on the Bulldog side of the ball. Nakobe Dean, linebacker. Yeah. He's gonna be a first rounder. This guy is so special and so fantastic.
Yeah.
And then not draft eligible, but their tight end Brock Bowers is a really
Isn't he
good
a true
football.
freshman?
He is really good. Is he a true freshman? Or really?
Yeah, I'm almost positive he's a freshman. He's unreal. He was on my list too, Colin. Dalvin Cook's brother, James Cook, is like unbelievable. He is so good. See what he does tonight.
Yes, he is good, man. There's a ton of future NFLers, future first, second rounders playing tonight. And crazy shit happens on this Monday night, man. If you look at the last 10 years, there's been a lot of really good football games. And the best ones, in my humble opinion, are when the Crimson Tide don't deliver. But that's my own bias against my cousin.
Are you taking Georgia?
I'm not when they're -3, but if Bama scores first, Scotty, maybe first and second, I might sprinkle a little Bulldog.
But then you got Stetson Bennett to come back. I don't love that formula. I think the only way they win is if they start out fast. So I get the general theory, but not with these quarterbacks. I'm not overthinking it. I like Alabama. I think they have more talent, better coach, better quarterback. We just saw them play and they dismantled them. I'm looking at like a 31-24, something like that. 34-27, whatever. I think I said the exact same thing for Rams Cards, but something along those lines.
I think you're totally right about the formula. Like if Georgia's gonna win, their defense is gonna be dominating right from the start. So
that's the thing. One facet of the game is like Georgia's just not gonna allow you to run the football. So
that's fine.
I know it's tough. So you're putting a lot of faith in Bryce Young, but they've got Jameson Williams too, and I think I'm looking out for Ja'Cory Brooks as well too. I think he might have a big game tonight.
Can't wait to watch.
Got a couple Dogs fans in the comments. All right, well, hey, to our listeners and our subscribers, I hope you get what you want out of tonight's national title game there, Russell and Chris.
I'm with you guys.
I can't wait to watch.
Go Dogs. Caps roll Tide. Either way, let's have a good football game. You might hear a little bit something from us at Bucs Banter before next weekend because there's just so much to talk about in the football world. I feel like we were all over the place tonight because our minds are just spinning. Because we love it. We love it all. So thanks for tuning in, those of you who did, and we'll catch you soon here on the Bucs Banter podcast. Please remember to check us out on YouTube and like and subscribe. I don't give a shit if you like it. Just subscribe to our channel. Thanks very much. Go Bucs.